Hey there, Mike from the Beaten Trail. We're here for part 2 of our software for the Insta360 X4. So we spoke a little bit about this. I wanted to just go ahead and give you a little bit of how do you add, once you have your GPS remote and you have GPS coordinates and you've recorded, what can we do? All right, so I wanted to just show you a little bit about this. Now, this is the Insta360 Studio, okay? Now, this is some of our footage that we took when we went snowmobiling. And as you can see, this is helmet mounted. When I'm here, now you can do this on Windows or Mac. You can also do this somewhat similar on an iPhone. That'll be a whole different episode. But I wanted to show you that this is the footage that we recorded when we were up in New Hampshire. And we had a great time and it was good. But, you know, you want to add a little bit of how do you do this? Once you have your video selected, and there's multiple videos, and you can see that here, we have all bunch of different videos. We have this video selected, and what we like to do is we like to put a little bit of action to this. And on this slider bar, we're just going to take a small section of this video and move the borders in here so we're not getting so crazy. And a little bit of room here. And now this area we can play with, and this is all what we recorded. This was just on one of the runs that we took to go snowmobiling. So I can zoom in and out. I'm using the roller wheel on the actual mouse. And over here, what we have is this is called a keyframe. And if I add a keyframe, it puts a point on this video where I determine where the camera is going to look. All right, so I'm going to zoom into these guys, and just so you see, when I go to play this back, look, I'm off at an angle. I'm not going in the right direction. So what I need to do is, prior to that, you want to be able to just let's have a standard view. And so we put these key points in where we are, and this is all facing front, right? We want to look front. So I just have these 3 keyframes that what this will do is, here I'm getting ready. I wipe the lens. I'm going ahead and, you know, we're all taking a look. I turn my head. We look here. We're ready to go. You'll notice it stays forward and front. And we have Brian and we have Sean here, who's nice enough to let us ride these snowmobiles. And we take off from the Granite State Power and we get going. And so camera has all this here. At the same time, I can put some, I'm going to click on a lot of these different acceleration points. Now, these items here will show up under your stats icon if you are using the GPS remote. And it can be either of the GPS remote. And you'll see there's a couple templates here. We're just going to go through them. You can have energy, you can have, you know, standard speed, a couple different flows. We're just gonna pick one. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it's all different templates. So we kind of like this one. This one here is pretty convenient. And as you can see, we're now in kilometers per hour. We are going to come down here and select from metric system to imperial system. All right. So now we have Michael cruising along at a whopping 12 miles an hour. This is all real time. Now you can move some of these around if you really want to. You can go ahead and move these around. I think what we'll do is we'll just switch to something that looks normal. I don't know why these are overlapped. So here we have, you know, a couple different things here. We have our angle, we have our coordinates, our G-forces, and there's lap time and a bunch of other stuff. So as you can see, we skipped past that, what I wanted to show you. So first we're going to come back here. And now this right here is front view. And if we let this play, the timeline is moving over to the second keyframe where I look over to the side. You can see the camera angle is starting to turn to the right because I'm going to focus on these 2 guys here on the side of the trail. Okay. So once we've looked at them, oh, it's Joe and Bill. We know them. Great. What I want to do is I want to create another, and then you can zoom in here so you see a little more. I want to zoom in to the next point, and I want to be looking forward, and I want to have a little bit of wide zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and put another keyframe there. So what does that do, you say? When we go back and play, now the camera comes back. As you can see, now we're looking forward, and you can let this play and say, all right, well, I want to see what it looks like in a fisheye lens. All right. And so what I can do is I can use the mouse, and I can go ahead, and they call this little planet. And if you really want to see what it looks like, it just looks like you're riding on a little planet. It's just one of those goofy things. But wanted to let you know that you can go through and you can edit any of this video. All right, we're going to stop here, put another keyframe, and we're going to look backwards. We're going to see who's behind us. This is what I love, having eyes behind my back. So, you know, and for a little bit, we're going to look backwards. So if we come back here, I can change all these different views, warp, all these different settings, but you really just want to explore. And now this is a rear view. So what I can do is, once I've had this view, I would like to, you know, let's look back forward again and lock that in. And I'm going to bring this video, the end of the video. Now, none of this is permanent. You're just doing this for this clip. And what's great is you can come in and do this so many times and come back in and get a front view, get a rear view. So what do I do after this? I would go to export, and we like doing H.265 because it's a little bit of nicer, higher resolution. We're just going to do snowmobile ride 1. And I turn the bit rate all the way up, and it's going to show you here how big this file is going to be. And you go ahead to export it, and it will export in the background. So it's a great way to go ahead and make tons and tons of videos. We can do a more advanced episode, but I wanted to show you this is really what you do when you want to edit and look at these videos and use all the tools, the stats, and the GPS. We love it. If you don't have the remote connected that day, you're not going to get any kind of stats. So it only is on footage that has been recorded with the remote and the X4 or an X3. You can do an X3 as well. So I hope this answers some questions. If you do have some more questions, put them in the comments. More than happy to help you out. It's a great tool. It does not replace a GoPro. All right. So the X4 does 4K front and rear. An X3 does 5.7K, so split along, that's 2.7. But the resolution is pretty darn close to GoPro, to 4K. So if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. We'll tell you a little bit more. A big thank you to everybody who supports our channel, our Patreon, and our members. We really appreciate it. In your second month, you do get a free hat similar to this, except you get one with a logo. If it's in the wintertime, you can get a wool cap, or you can request a wool cap while we still have these in stock. Really, really soft and comfortable. Everybody loves these. We sell them separately, too, at any of our meets. You know, if you're interested, everything's pretty much $20. But again, thank you again. We appreciate you watching, and we will see you out there on the trail. Thanks.
Thank you to our sponsors, Ride Royal Blue, as well as the Potter County ATV UTV Club and Lit Industries. Reach out to Pine Grove Yamaha for sales and service and so much more. Thank you AOAA for sponsoring the Beaten Trail. Thank you to all our partners. We appreciate having you along for the ride. Be sure to check out our store for merchandise, shirts, and hats, and so much more. Until then, we appreciate you watching, and we will see you out there on the trail. Thanks.